Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's strategy session. I'm super excited to be here. I'm sure that we all are excited to be here too. So this is the Renaissance Generation Program Strategy Session. It is run by the Renaissance for Excellence Initiative. So this is our monthly session where we come together to discuss issues on national development, youth development, personal growth, and much more. And today we'll be having another amazing discussion with a phenomenal speaker. Today we'll be discussing increasing personal worth through value creation. So I encourage everyone to have a notepad to take notes as we go through the sessions. And if you have any questions, just put them down. And then at the end of the session, we'll take the question. So without wasting any much time, it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker to us. And our speaker is Anigbogu. So Winner is a PhD student of micro and nanoscale system engineering in Louisiana Tech University, USA. He's a graduate of electrical engineering from the Federal University of Technology, Owerri, with relevant work experiences as a field support engineer with IS Storm. He was a graduate intern with the Federal Capital Development Authority, FCDA, Abuja, and a former intern of Shell Petroleum Development Company of Nigeria. He's passionate about understanding and engaging people at the meeting point of human capital development, societal development, and history. Winner has spent years studying how functional systems are formed and why systems fail. So at this point, I'm going to hand it over to you, Winner. Thank you so much for being here. Over to you.
Thank you so much, French. Hello, can everyone hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? So Brainstorm says my voice is low, but can you hear me very well?
I can.
Okay, I think he hears us clearly now, so I think you can go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me once again. I think it's been a while, and sincerely, I personally hope that this would be a more intimate conversation. That's what has been in my heart, not necessarily a public presentation. I want more of a heart-to-heart conversation. And thank you for coming around. And I hope God will help us absorb and learn through this interactive session. I would try as much as God gives me the strength to debunk some myths and as well as establish some valuable wisdom we require as young persons for our everyday life and our growth eventually. So today we are talking about increasing personal worth through value creation. Increasing personal worth through value creation. I really don't want a crowd for today. I want it to be as personal as possible. I shared the link with a few persons. I want a real conversation. I'm not interested in 1,000 persons as much as I'm interested in 2, 3, 4 persons that are willing to take their lives seriously. I'll start by saying this. Problem solvers actually rule the world, not necessarily men of skills. Not necessarily mere men of skills. Problem solvers rule the world. As wonderful as skills are, as important as skills are in solving problems, it's not enough to be skilled. The real people who control our world are the people who channel the skills gathered, are the people who have the capacity to harmonize humans towards solving a problem. I read an article, I think that was 3 months ago, and it says that execution is everything. ability to see a problem, ability to muster the courage, ability to harmonize the people needed to tackle a problem is actually the major thing that differentiates men from boys. There are so many problems in our world today. We all know about these things. People come around and pass. Everyone comes. People are literally waiting for who would solve these problems. For example, for a while in Nigeria, you know, Nigeria is a country with an avalanche of programmers. There are so many programmers, right? I know that Nigerians have a lot of very good programmers. And if you've been following Nigerian tech space, you'll realize that for a very long time, one of the problems Nigerians have faced, both in tech ecosystem and in e-commerce, is payment. In fact, I think 3 years ago, I had someone that chatted me up on Facebook. Oh, they've been having issues with PayPal, the inability for external vendors or people that are buying things from different parts of the world to pay Nigerians directly in Nigeria. Now, so it's not something new. So many persons encounter the same problem. In fact, thousands of persons encountered the same problems and only complained. Some complained, some found a way to circumvent the problem and be able to make it through personally, to find their way around it for their own personal gain. They don't care about the rest of the persons. If I can figure that a way of circumventing the problem for myself, I'm good. Then sometime, I think in 2016, they started building it in 2016, but I think they launched it either last year or 2 years ago. Flutter Waves came. And it happened that this particular young man encountered the same problem. But instead of just complaining, instead of finding a way to finding a work around it for himself, he decided to solve the problem for others. What's the result? Today, Flutter Waves, the last time I checked, is worth over $1 billion. The problem is not the what. The problem also is not just that. Now you will find out that these guys that came together to build Flutter Waves, actually, they are not the only people that have the skills that they used to build Flutter Waves. There are so, I know what I'm telling you, Nigeria, we have a lot of awesome programmers that with all the skills they have acquired, all they want to do with their skills is just to make money for themselves, not to solve any problem, particularly. Okay, I can sublet my skill, I can give it out to a company in US, and they pay me on a monthly basis. I become the biggest boy in Lagos. So long as I find a way around my payment, I'm okay. But a few persons came together and said, okay, it's not enough to be comfortable. We can actually invest our skills as a community to solve this problem that has bedeviled not just us, but thousands of persons. Today, they have a high worth, not because they are special, not because they're different, but because they decided to do what others refused to do. And then I stress my point again. Value is equivalent to the problem, is directly proportional to the problems you solve. And for the sake of context, I would like to explain it a little bit better because there are two sides of the equation. So this is the full statement I will make with respect to value. There is a heavenly value, and as Christians, that is independent of us. But as far as the earth is concerned, you are consciously as valuable as the problems you solve, and unconsciously as valuable as your mindset. These two things, as far as the earth is concerned, you are directly as you are valuable, consciously as valuable as the problems you solve, and unconsciously as valuable as your mindset. So these two things make up the value of a man: the problems he solves and the mindset he carries. I will explain. Now, I said excuse me, as far as the earth is concerned. And this is where many Christians get it wrong. You can claim as much value as you think you can claim with regards to your relationship with God. That's a heavenly value. But if you must translate whatever value you claim to an earthly value, then you must solve problems. There are no two ways around it. Okay. I've often heard people say these things about, I'm not picking on anyone, but I've often heard people say these things about about wealth transfer from the heathens. It's one of the funniest things I've heard in my life. It's actually, could it happen? Yes, but it can only happen by an understanding of how the earth works. You think people will just finish working, and after laboring day and night to create things and solve problems, God will transfer it to you because you are praying in church. And unfortunately, one of the problems I have with Africans, I'm glad I'm talking to Africans, is that we really don't evaluate our lives. We are afraid of evaluating our lives. That's the right way to put it. We are afraid because when we really do evaluate our lives, we are afraid of what we would find. The things we would find might question the things we believe strongly, and we are afraid of facing those truths. So we rather not question these things. The fact that we've been doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result that never comes, we never actually bring ourselves to a point where we question the underlying principles of philosophy we've been using to pursue life. And one of such philosophies that things happen on their own. No, things do not happen on their own. People make things happen. When God wants to put forth a plan on earth, he puts it in the hearts of men who are willing to yield themselves to be used as instruments to make them happen. When Jesus had to be born, a woman needed to yield herself, and the man needed to consent to the plan in terms of Joseph and Mary before the salvation story evolved. So I'm trying to take a progressive walk into what I've been talking about. So I started with stating this, that problem solvers actually rule the world, not necessarily mere men with skills, but problem solvers. So skills are wonderful. You should go for skills because in fact, you need skills actually to solve problems. But what I'm saying here is do not stop it at just skills. Evolve the higher mindset where you are not just acquiring skills for your personal use. Evolve to a point, what I call objective learning. What is objective learning? From my own point of view, objective learning is a situation where you want to solve a problem and actively you've realized that you need this skill, you need that skill, you need the other skill to solve this problem. And you start learning those things, not just for learning's sake, but you are learning them in order to solve a problem. Objective learning can also be flipped around. It's a situation where even when you acquire skills, your primary mindset is, what can I do with these skills to better the lives of people around me? If you remember, when I started, the last time I came here, I stressed on something which is very important in increasing value. Think beyond yourself. I don't know if anyone remembers that. The moment you start thinking beyond yourself, you get on the train towards greatness. The moment you start thinking beyond yourself, you actually get on the train towards greatness. So many of us listening to me, do we have skills? Yes, we do. Do we have gifts? Yes, we do. But the question is, more often than not, we ask ourselves, how do I use this skill to get gain, profit for myself? The minute you start asking yourself, how do I use this skill to make life better for others? How do I use this skill to create a solution for others? You'll find out that what you actually have in your hands might be $1 million skill. But we don't see these things because we think just about ourselves. That's the reason why we don't go far. So let me recap. There is a heavenly value understood No question about that for me. But as far as the earth is concerned, you are consciously as valuable as the problems you solve, and unconsciously as your mind. So coming to the aspect of the mind, these things work hand in hand. You cannot start thinking about solving problems. You cannot start thinking about others if you do not have a change of mindset. Look, God has positioned us in different fields in life. And believe you me, each and every one of us, we walk past problems every day. But you know what happens? For most humans, they see a hurdle on the road and they jump the hurdle and pass. Oh, they're grateful to God that they have jumped this hurdle. But once in a while, you come across those very few humans that they don't just jump the hurdle. They think about taking the hurdle away so that others won't have to stress about jumping. You know, as a little boy, I never really understood this thing well. I would be walking with my dad across a pathway. My dad will see a nail on the ground. Me, I would just find my way around it and I keep moving. My dad will go back, pick up the nail, and find a dustbin to throw it away. So he has actually passed. He saw the nail, but he was thinking about others. If you understand what I'm telling you today, I will explain a very deep principle for you from the Bible. You know, Jesus said that he that will be the greatest of all will be the servant of all. I will explain to you what I know that statement meant. You see, that guy that decides to do what others refuse to do will eventually end up on top of every other person. The servant, you know who a servant is? The one who does the dirty job. The one who does the ones others refuse to do. In terms of the principles of life, the servant will end up becoming on top of every other person. He who is the servant of all will be the greatest of all. So what is the important lesson there? Do not think so much about being the greatest. Think more about becoming a servant. A servant doesn't necessarily mean cleaning the feet of people. It could mean that, but if you stretch that to the wider range, it simply means the person that is willing to do what others refuse to do. Let me give you a practical example. Many pastors we know to be great ministers today. Do you know who they are? In effect, they are servants. Why are they servants? They decided to read the Bible other Christians refuse to read. They decided to do the prayers other Christians refuse to pray, to say. So what's the result? Other Christians have to come to them to explain the Bible. The same Bible they also have. The same God. You give me a second. I don't like this. It can be quite disturbing. The same Bible they have, the same God they also have. But most humans would rather come to another person who has chosen to do the dirty job and get it easy. But you see that man who has chosen to read what others have refused to read, who has chosen to search out for information that others have refused to seek out. That man will end up becoming the center of attraction of others. It's a life principle that it's in the Bible, but many persons have never realized this. If you ever find yourself thinking about being great in life, position yourself in the place of a servant for others. If you think back at your school days, you will realize that the best student in class, more often than not, is that student that has chosen to go beyond what the lecturer taught and read textbooks that others have refused to read. He ends up having to explain the courses and resources to other students who just want to read the lecture notes and pass. The guy who chooses to do the daily work which is value creation, ends up on top of every other person. The secret of greatness is positioning yourself in the place of a servant. I told you I wanted this to be an intimate conversation. I didn't necessarily want a crowd. This is a principle that has propelled my life up to this point, and it's still the principle that is carrying me. I told some friends recently, I said, look, as I'm finishing my PhD and heading out, I'm not actually thinking about a job. Could it come? Yes. I'm thinking more about, I'm creating solutions. I'm working with a lot of friends. I'm creating a lot of things. That's my primary focus. And something I'm not going to lose sight of, even if I start working anywhere in the world. It is my primary focus. A job is simply either a temporal distraction or a means to an end, never an end in itself for me. And let me tell you, even if I think about a job as an end, I was telling a friend, I think more about startups. I love solving problems. I don't like what has already been done. A big establishment that is already established that you're not doing anything. You just come, they give you rules. They tell you a rule, just do this way, and you fit in there. You don't have much to do. That's not the way I think. I would rather join a small team that wants to take the world by surprise using a project and contribute my quota, the capacity God has given me to, and watch the team grow into something bigger, than be a part of something so big that I really contribute nothing. If I ever find myself in something so big, I know it's for a short while because I want my life to count. That's the way I think. And let me tell you one thing. When you have this switch of mindset, one thing always happens. You see the things that others pursue, they will pursue you. I'm telling you, it's a spiritual principle. When you stop thinking about jobs and start thinking about creating solutions, a time will come in your life where jobs will be pursuing you. You will be the one that will be saying, okay, am I really interested in this? The world values solution, people that create solutions to problems, much more than people that have skills. By the grace of God, I have a lot of awesome young men in my life that are doing a lot. I was discussing with one of my friends who works a very good firm. Look, do you know I know people currently that Amazon, they are looking for them. Facebook is looking for them. Google is, when I mean looking, they are begging them to, they are begging them. They're begging them to join. In fact, I have a friend that's a particular firm recently wanted to pay him as much as $1.5 million a year, and he's just 24. Why? He has created a lot of solutions that they know that he has a lot of things he's working on. They will literally need to pull him out to join them. And you know the surprising thing? He's not necessarily the best programmer Africa has ever produced. There are so many persons with exactly the same skill set he has, but they are waiting for a job to come for them. The reason why they acquire the skill set is to get a job. The same persons are begging, pleading with these same firms that are looking for this other guy. They are pleading with them for an interview opportunity, for an exam. But they are pursuing another person that has exactly the same skill set. They won't even take him through any interview. Just say yes, your offer letter will come. Why? Because he geared towards value creation, solving problems. That's the difference, nothing more. So I told myself this. Never, and you can adopt this mindset, it will help you. Come to a point in your life where you are learning, not because you want to be one of those people on the streets that have so much, but because there are problems you want to solve that you are learning in order to acquire the skills and knowledge to solve those problems. Let me give you a practical example. I have so many persons, the Six Sigma Green and Black Belts, they are very important. There are very, very important certifications for industries. So I have people that are doing all these things because they want to appear more appealing to industries. I didn't know, in fact, I didn't know much. I didn't actually know the value of the certification. Just that I realized that the content of the certification is something that will give me an opportunity to understand how to create functional systems, how to manage quality, and ensure that you are producing an optimal quality in anything at all. Customer service, goods and services, products, name it. I was like, wow, this is why did I go for it? I have always known that one day I will create a system or be part of a system that will need that knowledge. I never even cared about the certificate. I was telling one of my friends that I wrote the exam. I said, she asked me if I checked the results. I said that I really didn't check many of. I know I will pass, but I don't care about the results. I'm more interested in the mindset. I learned so much. I don't care about who needs the certificate. But I have always wanted to learn this because I want to create a solution that would require this knowledge. So even if they don't give me the certification, it doesn't change anything to me. It's my mindset. And if you absorb this mindset, I'm telling you, believe me, a time will come when things these other people pursue will literally be pursuing you. Not because you have anything better than them, but because life is spiritual. What I'm telling you is a spiritual principle. They will literally pursue you. They will. Without you doing much about it. I think that was last month or some months ago. I will keep the name. A very top firm in the world, and when I mean one of the biggest globally, contacted me. And the funny truth about it was I said I was on my LinkedIn account. I said I was not interested in a job. I closed it intentionally. I don't post anything. I don't have time for that. So they contacted me that they would be interested in. They think I'm a very good fit for them. I told the person, hey, I'm not graduating anytime this year. I had to repeatedly tell them I'm not graduating this year. So they will know. They said yes, that they are aware, that they don't mind. A lot of things went on. I don't know why, but I know it's a spiritual principle. When these things that matter to others don't matter to you, those things will eventually pursue you without stress. So I finished that phase and I moved on with I don't even think about it. I've moved on with my life. Why? I'm not seeing it as an achievement. Even if I decide to join them tomorrow, I'm not seeing it as an achievement. That's not how my brain is wired. So I moved on with my life. I'm more focused on so many things I'm doing. I'm more focused on the problems I'm solving on a day-to-day basis and the things I'm thinking of, more problems to solve for the future. That's the way my mind works. And if you really want to be valuable, I'll tell you this. You see the skills you have now that you think are good enough for any company to pick you. When you decide to start actively thinking about how to use these skills to solve problems, and you start solving problems, over time you gain visibility. These same companies that you are pursuing, a time will come when they will pursue you. And not only that they will pursue you, but if you choose to join them, you will not start as a graduate recruit. You will start at the management level. And you will not have to go through the stress of all this exam and all these interviews and all this nonsense. You won't have to go through that stress. Why am I saying this? One thing I hate in my life is a crowd. I don't like being in the crowd. It's one of the things I dislike. I've never been in the crowd in my life. And anytime I find myself in the crowd, if there are 100 of us that came into this place, I do not like being in the crowd. But if you must differentiate yourself from the crowd, then you should be willing to solve problems. It is one thing most men are unwilling to do. So the few who become willing, who invest their time, themselves, and their resources in solving problems, they will always stand out from the crowd. Again, I will repeat this. You've not gotten a job. It is not necessarily a disadvantage, of disadvantage. You think it is. Why don't you use this time that you are looking for a job and start creating something with the skills you've acquired? Do you know that let me give you a practical example. Do you know that you can start a social group that is teaching underage, that is teaching children in rural villages programming? Are you aware that if that group grows and you impact 500 students, that it could attract an award to you from United Nations? Are you aware that these things are happening? This same programming, you can organize a group that is focused on educating kids from rural places in Nigeria, teaching them programming, pushing IT skills to them. If you are consistent and it matures, it will attract favors and opportunities globally to you that you might not be imagining at this point. So what am I saying? You actually have enough to cause a ripple effect in one way or another, wherever you are currently. Yes. But because you have all these skills and you've been waiting for a job, you think you are disadvantaged. You might actually be so much advantaged, but you don't know. And you must not do it alone. We've spoken about the power of collaboration. I think even the last time by Obani Chika, he stressed on that. There are so many things in the world that you cannot do alone. But proper collaboration comes with the same understanding that it's not just about you. But let me tell you one thing. If you are the one that the vision is in your heart, nobody will join you until you move. Nobody. In fact, many of the people you need to actualize the things that God is putting in your heart, they are around you. You have met them in one way or another, but you don't know them. You guys are not yet linked because you've not made a move. But the moment you make a move, the moment the goal becomes clear, somehow things start clicking. When you meet the right persons, you know you've met them because you already have a focus. There's a problem you're already solving. So when you eventually meet these people, something clicks. It's a change of mindset. The value of a man is directly proportional to the problems he's solving as far as the earth is concerned. Skills are wonderful. Acquire them because you need them to solve a problem. Do not acquire them just because you want to get a job. Do not acquire them just because you want a solution for yourself. Think beyond yourself and come to a point in your life where you are more obsessed about making life easier for others through the opportunities and the skills you've acquired. How do I use these skills that I've learned? How do I use these opportunities that life has brought to me to make things easier? Recently, a friend of mine that is a doctorate student in University of Michigan, we had a meeting, he called us. He noticed that a lot of students from Africa are having issues with both mentoring for graduate school admissions and paying, what's that called again? Service and register and all those things. He started to organize a group to help these people. That's the mindset. And the young man is doing very well. It didn't start today. He didn't start today to do well. But I found out that it seems like if you meet people that are doing, good people that are doing well, they seem to have the same kind of mindset. Others. It doesn't matter the sphere of life you found yourself. There are problems you can solve. There are problems you can amalgamate a team by collaboration and solve. Are you a teacher? Are you an engineer? Are you a lawyer? What makes you think you cannot organize your fellow lawyers and form an association to help the less privileged that can't afford legal services? Are you aware that it can grow into a very interesting social group that will set your feet on places you never expected you will find yourself? It doesn't matter where you found yourself. It doesn't matter the sphere you are. This is not only for engineers. This is not only for tech guys. In fact, I'll cap it off by telling you this. When you ever find yourself in some of these top companies for important roles, I will tell you this. The questions they will ask you in an interview, I've been privileged to be in one or two of such. The questions they will ask you in an interview is not what you can do. Do you know the questions they will ask you? What you have done. Not what you can do or what you hope to do, but what you have done. Believe me. I've interviewed with Shell, and the interview I did was very successful. I've interviewed with so many other places, and I'll tell you this. Why are these people more interested in times that you've exhibited a capacity to solve problems? It's actually the greatest indicator of potential. Not anything you claim to be, not any skill you claim to have. Because solving problems will stretch you. Solving problems will reveal to you the crude areas of your life and give you an opportunity to actually weld, to actually mend, to actually rectify those crude areas. You know that there are skills you have that you think you've perfected. Until you start implementing that skill in solving problems, you realize that there are so many things about that skill that you really don't know that you need to learn. But because you think you've learned Python, you think you are good enough to join Microsoft. Until you use Python or join a small team that requires that skill to develop an app, you'll suddenly discover that there are things about that skill that you are yet to learn. So by any stretch of imagination, solving problems will take you to places, will bring opportunities to you that you cannot just sit here and imagine at this point. What we are talking about is a need for a change of mindset. I think it was John F. Kennedy that made this popular statement. He said to Americans, do not ask yourself what America can do for you. Ask yourself what you can do for America. Do not ask yourself what America. That was a statement by John F. Kennedy. Now, revert that statement, take out America, put life there. I'll end with this. Do not ask yourself what life can do for you. Ask yourself what you can do for and with life. The life you've been given, the opportunities you've been given, the capacities, the talents you have. Don't ask yourself what life has to offer to you because you have these things. Ask yourself what you are meant to offer to life from these things that you've been given. That should be your mindset. This would change the way you think. You are here, you are thinking you are not opportune because you don't have a job, but you are actually opportune with time. You actually have skills. And what makes you think you can create the next big thing that will happen to Africa? Let me give you an example. I think it's Figma. Either Figma or one of these softwares. The lady who developed it, she's from Australia. I don't think she's up to 35 yet. What happened? She was actually teaching students how to do graphic designs. Then for her own personal life, she was using Microsoft. Yeah, that's Microsoft. Adobe Designer. And she was having a lot of difficulties. You know, for you to click certain things, you have to look and look and look. It was complicated. Now, mind you, she wasn't the only one using it then. You know, she started asking herself, how do I make this thing easier for students? How do I make these things? Now, he said, because of the complication then, when people had to produce simple things, they had to contract it out to others, businesses, to do it for them. So she said, I want to make this thing so easy that students can design these things on their own because it's so easy. They don't need. So, you know, she started with her own students that she was teaching graphic designs to create a platform that can do the same graphic designs, but it's so easy and so accessible that you no longer have any need to contract it out. You can actually design it yourself and print it out. A company today is worth billions of dollars. She didn't start to make billions. No, she started because she wanted to solve problems and make life easier for others coming after her. So go leave this place with these questions. How many problems have you come across in your life that you just circumvented and went your way? How many problems have you come across that you just found a workaround for yourself and you were content with that? What if you come to a point where you no longer just circumvent problems? When you skip the hurdle, like I explained, you find a way of taking the hurdle out so that those coming after you won't even see that hurdle again. If your mind starts working this way, I bet you in the next 5 years, you will find yourself in places you least expect. It's an assurance. If you allow yourself evolve into this level of thinking, if you allow yourself leave that sphere of me and get to the point where it's about solving the problem, it's about making it easier for others. And this will take you selflessness. It will take you sleepless nights. For example, I'm on my PhD studies. Now, I won't tell you a lot that I'm doing. It's a lot. It will mean getting beyond yourself, genuinely, but it pays. It's only a matter of time. It pays. It pays. It pays. It's just a matter of time. It pays. It does. So with that, like I told you earlier, I wanted this to be just an intimate conversation. I really didn't pray for a large crowd. And we've discussed a lot. And at this point, I would like to stop and open it up to conversations, questions, contributions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for that. So much value has been shared in just a couple of minutes. It's been a lot that has been shared. So like Sawina said, it's time for questions, comments, contributions, anything you want to add. This is the time, so you can unmute yourself and go ahead and speak. So while we're waiting, Chinemerin says, great value in here. Thank you, Sawina. So does anyone have any question, any comments?
All right. Thank you very much, Vina. Yeah, I really appreciate the so much wisdom you shared with us today. Yeah, my name is Valentine. I'm currently in Lagos, Nigeria. Yeah. So what I want to say is, I think all you said, Vina, they're all good. Like, they are top notch. Right. And what I want to add is basically the challenge we have sometimes is it's not that we don't see problems that we want to solve. Those problems are all around us. But sometimes we lack the patience the persistence to keep on pushing in that line. So what do you advise for this situation whereby we see those problems, but we lack that persistence, we lack that patience to hold on for a long time to actualize those things. If you can encourage us more in that angle, I also appreciate.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Valentine. It's all part of what I said, but let me explain a little bit better. I said servanthood involves patience. Servanthood involves resilience. In fact, if you understand who a servant is, a servant by default has to be patient. When you start seeing yourself as a servant, a lot will change about you. Nothing great comes out of nothing. Just know this. If you really want to do anything great with your life, you have to fold your sleep. Just zero your mind. If you want to do anything, let me not say do anything great with your life. I have a problem with somewhat alluding to self too much. I try to avoid that. If you really want to make a significant impact in life, then get ready to really fold your sleeves and be patient. Excellent things take time. Excellent things take a lot of efforts. Excellent things take a lot of thoughtfulness. I think over the weekend on Sunday, I visited what is called Ark Encounter, which is a recreation of Noah's Ark in the Bible here in the US. Oh my, it's mind blowing. That's the best way I can put it. It's mind. I went with a friend. So I told him that the way my mind works, while I was going through that, I was not thinking about just the magnificence. My mind thinks more from the back end. So what I was seeing was actually two persons that one day sat on a table and told themselves that, look, we want to recreate Noah's Ark in such a way that whoever walks into this place will live with a feeling they will never forget. That's just a statement, but achieving that takes a lot of patience, takes ingenuity, takes grit, takes stamina, takes collaboration. Just name it. That excellent work, I told my friend as we were about to leave, while people enjoy the beauty, the thoughtfulness, what I'm seeing is actually years of persistence and labor. So know this. Put it in your mind, ingrain it into your personality. If you will ever do anything impactful in life, you must be willing to go all the way, no matter what it will cost you, no matter the time. You know, there are things that you need to do that will take you 5 years of consistency. The problem many of us have is, particularly where we come from, is we want immediate results. We want profits. And that's why people do all manner of shambles and they just do all manner of things and just come out with it. And after 2 years, it dies off. Things that last take time to build. Things that last take thoughtfulness to build. Things that last take genuine effort. Do you know that there are things that if you want to build, it might take you 6 months of acute research? Can you invest it? One thing I learned from a young man I met years ago is this. My life evolved to a point where I have a mantra. If I cannot do it to a point where I would always say this, my taste is high. It's extremely high. That's who I am. I wasn't always like this anyway. But if whatever I promised myself that whatever I do must be something that when you take it to any part of the world, it will stand the test of time and standard. It doesn't matter where I did it. So if I do it in Nigeria, when you take it to any other part of the world, anybody who sees it would, do you know that the things you do reflect the effort you put into them? How awesome, how inspiring, how mind-blowing it will be, will most indirectly reflect the efforts you put in. That is how life works. I watched an Olympic event yesterday. I don't know what they call them. These guys that it is yeah. When these guys were jumping this thing, holding this stick and spinning in the air, I was with my friend. I was like, wow. I was literally afraid that they would fall. Like, oh God, it was mind-blowing. How did people get to this level of perfection? That was all that was going through my mind. And I know one thing, this is a product of years of labor. So what you are seeing is not just the spinning. What I'm seeing is years of practice, years of labor, years of sacrifice. That is actually what evolves into the inspiring emotions people get when they see these things. The same thing happens to products, goods, and services. what you are willing to invest in any problem you want to solve will reflect on the effects of whatever you are creating. What you are willing to invest on any problem you desire to solve will reflect on the depth of the effect what that solution would have on people and things. If you put in minimal effort, if you are not willing to pay the price of patience, it will die. So like myself, make this promise to yourself: whatever I will do, any problem I will solve, I am willing to go all the way. And one other thing that will help you is this: take your eyes off from the quick gain that is killing Africa. That quest to be the biggest guy in town, that quest to be the happening young man. Look, we are young. I keep reminding people that you are not running to anywhere. You are not competing with anybody. Okay, I got a question from someone. How can someone balance the scarceness of resources in African contexts and working on solving a problem? Number one, when you talk about scarceness, like I said, that's why there is power in collaboration. For many problems you would desire to solve, you don't have everything it takes to solve them. Some part of what you need are actually in people. But you know what? Like I said earlier, until you make the move, until you make the move, you will not see the people you need. And even when you see them, the relationship will not click. They will not respond to you until you start making the move. A friend of mine designed an awesome application recently that is making a lot of waves. You know, most of the funds he needed to get it going, he didn't have them himself. He got it from people that are wealthy. But what happened? He had a product that is amazing, that nobody who sees it and has the money will not see an opportunity in the product. So when you start solving a problem, the people you need will come. The resources you need will come. More often than not, people are not willing to collaborate with you when you have not stepped out into the waters first. So one of the things I believe in this is this: get going, the resources will come. Get going, the people will come. And this principle has never failed me. Some of the persons I've worked with, for there was something I did sometime, it's still ongoing. One of the ladies that is helping me so much, I didn't even meet her directly. I was talking with someone on the phone. The person was in the car with her, and she heard our conversation, and she decided to come along, to tag along. We became friends, and she has been so helpful. But she has all the resources I need in terms of capacity, humanly speaking, to do certain parts of the project. But we were able to meet each other. Why? Because I was already moving. I had a direction, I had a target, I was already making progress. So when the person with the capacity came along, she was able to identify her skills and capacity with the project. So the resources are scarce. Let me tell you, do you know that so many of the things some persons need in Nigeria and the US, but they have people in the US they can collaborate with? But why would they collaborate with you until you start going, you start making progress, you start building something that these people can identify with? A lot of the tech firms in Nigeria and Africa, if you follow the tech ecosystem, you find out that most of their funding actually came from the US. So more often than not in their team, they will have one or two persons in the US that are part of the teams. So why would people identify with what you are doing if you've not set a target, if you've not set the direction that you are heading to, if you are not already working or creating something, the persons you need to actualize your dream will not identify with you. So it all boils down to you. It starts with you. The resources you need are in people. Humans are your greatest assets, but you pass so many persons you need to accomplish your dream because you've not started making progress. So don't find yourself excessively worried about resources. Be more worried about your own part. What can I do to get this going? When you start playing your own part, the people you need to fully actualize the problem you want to solve, they will actually align themselves with you when you guys meet. That's my take on that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for that. Any other question or contribution? Anybody else? Oh, it has actually been a really amazing session. And before we go, I would just like to re-echo some of the things that Sawina had mentioned that I think we need to say again. You know, at the beginning, he had said that problem solvers rule the world, not merely men of skills. So it goes beyond skills. As much as we try to acquire as many skills as we want to, it doesn't end there. We need to become problem solvers. We need to become solution providers. Another thing that he said that really struck me because he repeated it for emphasis, said it a lot of times, and I'm going to repeat it again because it was really profound what he said. He said that as far as the earth is concerned, you are consciously as valuable as the problems you solve, and unconsciously as valuable as your mindset. What a profound statement. So we need to turn our mindset from just being, from just being all about ourselves, so get a job, me do this for myself, and go beyond that to become solution providers. We have to become obsessed with finding ways to make things easier for others. Another profound thing that he said is that for us actually as humans, we need to think beyond, oh, I want to be great for myself, no, but think servanthood. Be able to do those things that others are willing to do. And when you're able to do those things, other things that people are chasing after, we begin to chase after you. So the most important thing is that we become solution providers, problem solvers. Think about it. How many things you go by in a day that you can actually profess solution to? I'm sure that if you look at it consciously from today, you would realize that there are so many things around you that you can actually provide a solution to. So as we leave this meeting, I think one thing we can take with us is that we're going to be conscious to look, to observe for those things that we can actually prefer solutions to. So not about gathering skills, but using those skills efficiently, effectively in solving problems. So it has been a really great session. My notes are full, and I'm sure your notes are full too, but we should not just stop at taking notes, but go ahead in taking actions, on acting on the things that we have learned today. So again, I want to say thank you so much, Sister Wina. It has been an amazing session. Every time you come here, our minds are always blown. We always go charged to go do exploits in our words. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing again with us your wisdom. So I can see John has the hand clap. So thank you so much. We really appreciate you. So with that, we are almost at the end of today's meeting. So again, for those that joined us, this is the Renaissance Generation Programs Strategy Session. So we normally have the sessions once every month. And next month, we're going to be having another amazing session. So please look out for it. If you're not on the group chat, yeah, I think most of us here are on the group chat, but if you're not, I think you can reach out to me or John and we'll put you there. And then you can also follow us on Instagram, Rex Initiative, and then on Facebook, the Renaissance for Excellence Initiative. Thank you all so much for taking our time to be here. God bless you all and have a great night.